republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Austriaco? Here. Bessler? Here. Collins? Here. Coyle? Here. Lee? Sullivan? Here. Owen? Here. Thank you and welcome. We always start with our favorite events. This is 207's Best Elective Area of Achievement. We're going to start with Maine South. Dr. Collins.
Maine South this month would like to honor Mairead King. Mairead, if you'd like to come up here. So when I was asking Mairead what made her want to learn 2 languages, in addition to English, is she told me a really interesting story of a time when you went to Montreal for a dance competition, and you noticed everybody speaking French and then quickly speaking English. And so she thought, well, I already speak Spanish, I'm very successful in that, I might as well just go back to Maine South and learn French too. So she came back and joined French, and she is now what's called a polyglot. So she can speak 3 languages. She's an AP Spanish 5, French 2 Excel. She's been involved in many facets of the school. She ran track and field. She's in Spanish club, French club, Irish club, student council, and Key club. And she's also an Evans Scholar, and she'll be attending a Big Ten school on a full-ride scholarship. And I hear that U of I is still in the mix, which makes me a very happy principal. When we were discussing this recognition, she was saying that her sister Caitlin has been a major influence throughout her life, in addition to her parents. When Mairead began high school, Caitlin made sure that she knew how everything worked at Maine South and how to be successful, and she credits her parents' support for all her opportunities and her future success. So Miss Jen Cobb, one of Mairead's French teachers, said, "I've had the pleasure of teaching Mairead in my French 2 Excel class this year. She demonstrates a strong command of the French language and takes risks with the language to communicate through her speaking and writing. Additionally, as a polyglot, Mairead is an excellent role model to other students. She often articulates how her knowledge of Spanish benefits her success in French and aids in her understanding of the language. In addition to Mairead's academic abilities, she demonstrates exceptional leadership qualities in her class. She is always willing to help her peers and is very encouraging and supportive to her classmates." Mr. Jason Duttmers, one of Mairead's Spanish teachers, says, "Mairead King was very dedicated to learning my Spanish 4 classes, always helped others to learn, and showed strong integrity, maturity, and empathy. She is a self-starter and highly motivated individual, always seeking learning opportunities that better both herself and others. While she is confident in her successes, Mairead's humble character is a delight, and another reason why she is truly a positive role model for others." And finally, Mr. Francisco Barbas says, "Mairead is one of the most conscientious students in my Spanish 5 AP class," which is a lot. "She loves foreign languages and is very eager to learn every single day." So Mairead, you have a lot of success ahead of you. You want to tell us who's here tonight and what you're planning on doing post-high school?
I have my family here, my brother, his girlfriend, my parents, and my sister Connie. And I unfortunately just over the weekend found out that I'll be going to Indiana.
No, that's a good thing. That's a great school.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, Harvard in the Midwest.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Moving on to Maine East.
Hi everybody, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Ali Chaus. I like to find that you don't have to come all Mr. Collins just likes to bring him in close. So Ali is probably one of the most visible and active students we've got at Maine East, which is a statement in and of itself. Like most freshmen, when he started, he really wasn't sure what he might want to do, and therefore, not sure what classes he should take. But he started off with, pretty much has been an accelerated AP student all the way through, and in many instances taking what he needed to for graduation requirements. But he has also consistently sort of done the double duty where it meets a graduation requirement, but it's technically an elective as he goes through. So. He's explored a variety of electives in his 4 years. Social science, He's taken AP Macro Micro Economics, AP US History, Math, AP Stats, and AP Calculus BC. Foreign language, he was through Spanish 4 Accelerated. And CTE is really the area in terms of business classes that he's landed in terms of Intro to Business, College Accounting Accelerated, Dual Credit College Entrepreneurship Accelerated, Virtual Enterprise International, and he has been involved in a business internship. In terms of the growth that he's seen through this program, he has applied to a number of schools. I'll tell you a little bit about that, but specifically was accepted into the accounting program at the Business School at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, which is ranked 3rd in the nation. So kudos and congrats on that. So feel a little better about so in addition to all of this, though, he's been so involved in extracurricular. Ali is one of these students that probably would be well qualified in any of a number of sort of the designations for 207's best. He's an officer in Rotary Interact, member of the ARCODE advisory panel, very visible there, treasurer of the 200-member South Asian Club, and he's an officer in student council. His AP Stats teacher, Sue Clifford, sort of made the comment, the thing about that he's taken advantage of taking stats is that it's kind of the most unique of the math classes we offer in that it very clearly intersects in terms of his interests of business, economics, sports, science, in terms of the various ways that you would analyze and make use of data. Natalie Bourne is our student council sponsor, and said basically Ali uses so many of the skills he learned in his business classes to help promote our activities in student government. Ali has led 3 blood drives and is in charge of developing incentives to recruit donors, managing publicity, coordinating with a LifeSource representative, and monitoring the appointment slots. He also works closely with his student colleagues to lead the weekly meetings. He's demonstrated phenomenal management, cooperative, and marketing skills. John Schwan really is our business teacher extraordinaire, and he and Ali have been very close. I think John's been a mentor for him. And of the voluminous information that John provided, I'll read a little bit for you here. So Ali is an extraordinary young man because on the surface he is so ordinary, quote unquote. Anytime he walks into a classroom, a club meeting, or the volleyball court, he never seeks the spotlight. However, that impression is deceiving. What fellow students, team members, teachers, and sponsors quickly figure out is Ali is a quiet but powerful leader. He leads by example. Whether he's helping a fellow student who is struggling with a difficult college accounting concept, or volunteering for ARCODE, student council, or Rotary initiative, Ali unselfishly gives his time and immense talent to do whatever needs to be done. Ali is a member of our dual credit college entrepreneurship accelerated class and our virtual enterprise VEI experiential class. In VEI, which is this experiential class taught around the world where students create and manage a global online business in the classroom, Ali interviewed for the Chief Accounting and Finance Executive Officer position with VEI's Board of Directors. This Board of Directors is a group of executives worldwide made up of successful industry executives who volunteer their time to guide students in this innovative class. So some of the work, if they happen to be local, is in real time, and most of it is virtual. The board selected Ali as a Chief Accounting and Finance Executive Officer due to his extraordinary accounting and finance knowledge. Since taking over the accounting and finance department, Ali spearheaded a business plan that won first place from over 100 schools from 7 Midwestern states at the recent VEI trade show. Congratulations. Following are just some bullet points that I pulled out of the many sort of testimonies that I got in support of Ali. One person said, Ali truly exemplifies being what a well-balanced, selfless high school citizen is all about. Another said he's bright, hardworking, very motivated. He's also a humble and incredibly nice young man. Another person said his communication skills are incredible as he finds a way to consider multiple perspectives and present conflicting information in a way that elicits inquiry instead of defense. Another said, Ali is a grinder. What he lacks in natural talent, he makes up with for the willingness to work harder than anybody else. Another said he's one of the most patient and kind students to have ever walked the halls of Maine East. And another just said, with Ali, what you see is what you get, and what you get is a tremendous student in person. So, obviously, he's the guy. I think he's well positioned for success in college and well beyond. We're very, very proud of you and everything you do for the school. Congratulations.
with my mom and my sister. My dad couldn't make it out because someone has to pay the college tuition bill. But I'd also thank Ms. Saria and Mr. Ash for being here also for the support. And just for college, I did get into Indiana University, DePaul, Wisconsin-Madison, but I will most likely be attending University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign at the College of Business next year, so hopefully everything goes well with that.
So, Phil, one of the things I want you to do, Ms. Owen and I will be in San Antonio next month talking about our career programming, and I would love a little 1 or 2 minute vignette from Ollie and some of his career experiences that Dr. Presser was describing, because I think that's what we're trying to do, is get those career experiences before you go out and spend money on college, and you have a good idea what you want to do. Well done.
We'll move along to Maine West.
All right, I'd like to introduce to you Justine Bill. I found a quote that describes Justine perfectly, I think. It says, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." And Justine is absolutely intelligence having fun. She's got a 4.44 GPA at Maine West with perfect grades in every one of the graphic arts courses that she has taken. Since her freshman year, 2 weeks into the freshman year, when I ask all freshmen, what do you want to be when you grow up? They write it down on an index card with similar answers to other questions. And then just last week we had our senior meeting, and we went over that card, so I keep their cards for 4 years. And on that card, she said, "I want to be a graphic designer." And this is another example of how Maine West has really given Justine some opportunities, and Justine has grabbed those opportunities to really enhance her desire to be a graphic designer. So she's taken the most difficult classes in total at Maine West, but then within the CTE department, she's taken computer programming, Graphic Arts 1, Advanced Graphics, Marketing, and Advanced Graphics Certification. And she's gotten A's in all of those classes. She's the top student in every single one of those courses, and she is the one person that kids all go to and teachers go to, because she gets it so quickly, finishes her projects, and then she can help everybody else with those projects. In addition, she's on the tech crew. She was just very instrumental in our musical, Cinderella. She's been on the yearbook, Scholastical, and she'll be competing in the Rube Goldberg competition soon. One of the things that she's taken advantage of at Maine West is the certification tests that you can take, and she's taken and passed the Adobe Certified Associate test, and she passed Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign within that. And she is preparing to take the Expert certification in the spring, and she'll be the first Maine West student to ever tackle that exam as well. Mr. Adante says she's very organized, hardworking, and conscientious, and continually impressed with her passion and effort while in the classroom. One of her greatest accomplishments occurred this year, where she won the logo competition for Park Ridge Community Health Commission, and that logo is plastered everywhere, which is really neat. She was honored by the mayor at a city council meeting in Park Ridge, and somebody saw that and heard that a student designed it, and then came to Maine West and asked if they could get some students to design a program for martial arts facility that's in Des Plaines, MBD Martial Arts. So she created a trifold for them, and they're using it for marketing purposes as well. Her name is getting out there already. There's restaurants who want Justine to design their menus. So she's getting a list of clients right there. She got an internship in the summer as well. As a graphic designer, so she was working at Winco 88 Merchandise, where she was able to do some advertising for them as well and get experience in graphic design. She is one of the top students, like I said. Students and staff adore her work and how she approaches things. She's very helpful. She sees things in a very creative and different way, and can help students visualize for themselves as well to be as creative. So we're really proud of all her accomplishments, and so is the community. So this is Justine Bill. So Justine, who's here with you tonight, and what are your plans next year?
With me, my mom and my dad. And next year, I'm in between colleges right now. It's between U of I and Urbana, or RIT in New York for media arts and advertising for Urbana.
Thank you. Well, it actually, all kidding aside, it's exactly the type of projects that we want to illustrate, because it's really premised on getting real world experience, getting those internships, and knowing when you leave us, what is it that you want to do. And again, we never think we can get to perfect, but we can sure get to a lot better. You guys are great examples of that, so thank you.
Okay, we have, our superintendent, Dr. Wallace, has some awards as well.
So as we like to do from time to time, and students bear with us just for a few minutes, because we want to recognize 3 really special teachers here tonight. So I'm going to start with 2 that actually are getting awards for the same thing. We are privileged in this district to have 2 of our theater teachers who have been nominated for Tony Awards. A really, really special award. Karen, Carrie, would you guys stand up? Karen has been with us at Maine East for many, many years and has helped us have just world-class high school theater shows for as long as I can remember here, and just has been tremendous. And it's one of those kind of things, we honor our students every month here, and that's, as Ms. Owen says, one of the coolest things that we do. But behind all of our really great students are really, really great teachers, and these are 2. Carrie has been with us at South for about a decade now and has done a really, really good job, and is, again, I think following the footsteps of Karen, is helping us create world-class theater programs in all of our buildings. And the fine arts are a very, very important part of our legacy here at Maine Township, and they don't happen without 2 really, really great teachers. So you guys stay right there, and I'm going to introduce one more person. So Shelby, you have to stand up too. So board members, if you remember a couple of years ago, Barb Gavardi was doing a presentation. She said, "What does Shelby Rhea have in common with my husband?" And she told a story about Shelby knows birds, like she's like a bird aficionado, so she knows all this stuff. And then, and Barb's husband is a car thing, so she was using that as deep learning. Well, Shelby is much more than that. She is, in addition to just being a wonderful, wonderful teacher, science teacher at Maine East for many, many years, she also this year is the 2018 Friends of the Chicago River Teacher of the Year, for the work that she and her students have done in going down and helping restore the Chicago River, helping keep it at its very best, and helping our students learn all of those lessons. So Shelby Rhea is getting the award for the Friend of Chicago River Teacher of the Year. And Shelby, if you want to say anything at this moment, you can, and I'm going to walk over that way with some of this.
I just want to say thank you very much. It's an honor to be here tonight and to work in this district and be allowed to do what's fun every day.
That's what I said too.
Yeah, I echo Karen's words as well. Every day, I just came straight from rehearsal for a chorus line, and every day I walk into that room with those students and in my classroom, it ignites my passion for theater all over again. We've got, this district has the best kids in the world, and we get to do theater with them. It's an amazing opportunity and an honor.
And I'd like to say I wish I could give an award to the Friends of the Chicago River for providing all of the resources, and I wish they were here. But they have been bringing us with all of the equipment to the river, biology classes, AP environmental science classes for 13 years now, something like that. So yeah, I'm thankful for them, and I'm super thankful to be in this district with all of the professional development and just students, staff, everything. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys very much. And this one is Karen. And we want the box with that. Karen, yours too. Thank you. Okay, Dave Berry's going to get. So you guys Students, you're free to go now. We get some pictures of you, and then we'll get some pictures of our teachers as well. You're certainly welcome to come back, but as someone usually said, this is your time. If you wish to leave and go home and do some homework, that's a good time. Well, thank you all very, very much.
You have to tell him. He was telling me that.
Update from superintendent.
Real quickly, we, principals aren't in here, but we asked them a week or so ago to just do a quick review of all the buildings and look at the perimeter doors for kids coming in inside the buildings. So we've reduced the number of doors in the morning that we've got open. We've tried to reduce them to one. Our physical buildings are so big, they're 500,000 square feet, and you want to have enough egress for kids to actually come in the way they get dropped off. So we've tried to do that, make sure that we've got staff who can secure those doors, and make sure that we're also being proactive about working with the police departments and looking at all of our safety and security processes. So the principals have done a really nice job in all 3 buildings of doing that. We're also planning some programs for parents to talk about things. One of our big issues right now seems to just be Snapchat. They should make Snapchat go away, then our lives would be easier for a moment. But it's out there, and to just try to continue to educate. We do education programs with parents on Snapchat and try to keep them apprised of making sure they're checking in with the kids and things they're posting on social media.
And the principals did send something out to all parents
They did.
about the
They did.
changes and
Yeah,
procedures.
to the staff and students and parents.
Okay, are there any updates from board members?
I have a couple. One is March 13th, there's going to be a screening at Maine East on the Screenagers, and it's called Screenagers, and it's a documentary on how social media is affecting parenting and all this stuff. So there's an invitation to all the schools for that, and I'm helping my group publicize it. So that's one of the things that's happening March 13th, I think at 6:30 p.m.
Where's it at?
It's at Maine East Auditorium. And then the other thing, since Ben isn't here to say, I had the opportunity today to hear Ann Birch, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, came and talked at Maine South today to their special education. I didn't either until I walked by a sign in the hall and invited myself. No, actually, I had a special ed person I was working with today, so I brought him, and it was really exciting. I mean, she's the founder of Special Ed, and she had just done Special Olympics. Sorry, that's what I meant. Special Olympics 50 years ago, and she had just done a really nice interview on NPR over the weekend. And she's so, she's really so inspiring. She started the Special Olympics as a park district counselor in Chicago, and really, went back to school when she had 4 kids, and just a lot of really great things. And she told her story to the kids, and she talked about how important it was to have a mentor and be a mentor. And I thought that was a really nice talk, and the kids asked her questions. It was good. It was a nice experience for them.
The interesting thing about her, she's dyslexic.
Yeah.
She's a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, that's what she was saying about how important tutors were to her throughout her education, and how Sister Henrietta was her mentor.
Buildings and Grounds Committee updates. Jen is not here. Is anyone able to make that? You want to do that?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay.
The committee met on February 12th, and the agenda was the facility master plan update. The meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. We met with White Architects, and we started to look at, based on all the information to date, some potential design aspects of the facility master plan for each building. We agreed to continue meeting. We came up with potential Plan A's and Plan B's that we will hope to have finalized soon. So we will continue meeting on the facility master plan. The meeting adjourned at 7:43 p.m.
Thank you very much. I'll give an update. We had a committee of the whole meeting on March 1st, and that was kind of a replacement for a follow-up Buildings and Grounds meeting. We did it as a whole. There were a number of bids that were discussed. Main South pool filter bid, which all these are on the agenda for voting tonight. There were roof replacement bids for each of the schools. Those are fairly substantial bids. They actually, it was noted that they did come in over budget. We discussed the reasons for that, and also noted that the bids, the final bids, bids that we went with were really all in a tight cluster, so the numbers seem very good. We also did an HVAC bid for Maine East and Maine South. These were bundled together because we felt that made sense to bundle them. There's also a proposal for additional consulting service for White. This has to do with the design and furniture that will be used in the remodeled cafeterias. It was noted also at that time that Quest, our food service provider, has pledged $200,000 for equipment. And then we discussed the PTAB resolution. This is something that we need to pass every few years, where the board authorizes our attorneys to intervene on our behalf relating to property tax appeals. Finally, we had a very nice presentation, lengthy presentation, lots of discussion on a revised master plan update. As a result of that, additional, there will be another meeting this week, actually, of Committee of the Whole, right, Committee of the Whole? It is right. To go over some new proposals there, kind of revised and tweaked, and also to talk a little bit about funding options. The meeting was adjourned at 7:20. Okay, Mary, monthly status of finances.
In your board packet is the January financial statement. As you can see, revenues are running slightly higher than the previous years. This is once again due to the state finally catching up on all the waste payments from the previous years. On the expenditure side, they're slightly higher than the previous years, but this is due to summer projects. Particularly, we have large boiler projects that as a percentage of expenditures were greater. The individual funds are all in line, because even though these are variances, they're, for the boiler projects, those are budgeted projects, so we will not be over budget. When we talked about, just a summary, that we should perform this year better than we projected because of some timing of the expenditures for the boiler projects, $2.2 million was actually expended last year. Those late state payments and on-time payments this year will mean that state revenues will be about $1 million over budget. At this point, we have not spent our contingencies, and we've had some unfilled custodial maintenance positions that we're eager to fill, but we've just had higher than usual turnover this year. I will entertain any questions that anybody has on the January financial statements.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Instructional services. John?
So this month we have a list of our 4 for national merit scholarship finalists. We brought you earlier in the year the commended students and semifinalists, and so this is our last report we'll get, because we won't know until, unless the students report to us that they've gotten actual scholarship money and then use it at the university. This will be the last one for the year on this side.
Ken, any updates on FOIA requests?
We had 3 this month, and they've all been responded to.
All right, could I have a motion on our consent agenda, 7A through F?
Second.
Jean, can you take the roll?
Austriaco?
Aye.
Bessler? Collins?
Aye.
Coyle? Sullivan?
And Owen. Aye. Okay, I have a motion on item, let's start with 8A, the filter, pool filter.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Mary, you want to-
2 bids were received for the replacement of the pool filter at Main South. The low bidder was, and I'm going to butcher their names, Shepherd G's Brothers. This is a company that both our pool consultant and engineer has worked with before. They have been fully scope review, and Alara is recommending them to be awarded the bid.
questions? Okay, would you take the roll?
Sullivan? Coyle? Collins?
Aye.
Bessler? Austriaco?
Aye.
Owen?
Aye. Could I have a motion on items A, B, C, and D, these are the groups at each of the schools?
So moved.
Second? All right.
All right, so Greg's just gonna let me keep butchering names. So, whenever we do a roofing package, what we do is we structure the bid such that each school can be awarded separately, and we also ask for a price for all 3 in case that gives us a discount. In this instance, we are recommending the award of each school separately because that gives us the best price. Maine East and Maine South, we awarded to Allens and Myshins, who is the low bidder. We received 8 roofing bids, and Maine West, low bid was from National Roofing. All of these companies have been fully scope reviewed, and they are large roofing companies that we do not believe that we would have any problems with this summer.
Any questions?
Mary, I know you said this before, but just to refresh my mind, what was the price that you put in that if you had to replace a roof all at once?
Okay, well, 500,000 square feet, I mean, this is a small section. I would say that each of our roofs is divided into anywhere between 10 and 20 roof sections. So, millions upon millions of dollars.
No, I remember you said that at the last meeting.
And the issue with that is then the entire roof structure goes bad at the same point in time.
Right.
And you would need to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in that year. So that is why we do the roofs in sections, and the schools were built in sections. So it kind of, we look for the natural break points and have identified all of the sections of the roofs.
So each one of these were about a 10% of roof?
No, some are bigger and some are smaller. So like the section at Main East is a bigger section of roofing. I can get the square footages off the bid docs and put it in Friday notes, but it's just.
No, I just wondered because you had said that last time, somebody asked about it.
And the work's not always compatible with like more square feet.
No,
Some
I
of it's the
understand.
complexity of the roof material too.
It just came up.
Before we vote on this, I wanna make sure that, so, Ellen's and I believe it's Michon, we'll call Michon for this discussion, have the bid for South for 835-1. And then you've got Maine West, and it says Ellen's and Michon again in
It
the.
has Ellen's on each of them.
Yeah.
The recommendation.
The west one should be national.
National roofing.
So it should say, approves it with national
Yes.
for Maine
For
West.
Maine West, yeah. Is that 927 amount correct?
Yes.
Okay, national roofing. Okay.
So,
Okay.
the motion. Who seconded that?
Sean?
No, who seconded the motion?
I did not, but I can.
Okay.
I will sign.
Okay.
Done.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Sorry, would you take the roll?
Collins,
Aye.
Austriaco,
Aye.
Coyle, Sullivan, Bessler, Owen.
Aye. I have a motion on items 8E and F. These are the HVAC upgrades. Okay?
Okay, we have, 2018 HVAC work is at Maine South and at Maine East. We received a number of bids. The lowest bidder was Monaco. Monaco. You may remember that name because they were also the low bidder last year for the Maine West boiler. They have been fully scope reviewed. Their low bid came in at $316,800. And we are confident that they will perform just as they did last year and do a good job for us.
Okay, any questions on that? I bundled these together, I probably shouldn't have, that's okay.
And F, I can talk about it. F is, as we're doing the cafeteria upgrades with Quest providing, one of the things that we've held off buying the Quest equipment because we want to make sure whatever equipment we put in is going to be something that we can reuse once we replace our 50-plus-year-old serving lines. So we've been kind of waiting to see what point in time. So the first half of the proposal is to work with a food service consultant out of Indianapolis. And as part of that, they're kind of looking at not only the design for this equipment and what we need to do to service more kids in the cafeteria, but also how that then will be incorporated into our facility master plan. So we're looking at equipment that can be reused, that's sectional, that is more mobile than the fully welded together serving lines. The second piece of that is furniture selection for the cafeteria. We're going to move away from the mass 12-seat person benches for a couple of reasons. One, it's difficult for students who may not be as outgoing as others to come in and find a place at a 12-person table. But secondly, because of the tables are large, difficult to open and close, particularly close, they create a high injury rate amongst our staff. So we feel that going in a different direction with furniture will allow us long-term to save money. We're very interested in kind of a unique design furniture where maybe the stool's attached to the table and we can wheel the table and the stools away so that we can use the cafeteria square footage for other items after school and before school.
And protect our employees' shoulders.
And employee shoulder bags.
And this is simply for the design aspects of it, not for the actual product.
Correct. We anticipate spending about $150,000 on the actual cafeteria tables. And that will come to the board as an estimate for capital outlay.
But the money that.
This is the design, this is working with, to find the right tables, the right shaped tables for the various size, like Maine South's cafeteria is a circle. So we're envisioning having to put tables within the long tables, and they're gonna have to be a different size. So each one of our cafeterias has a little bit different design shape.
But this also includes the consulting people.
Correct.
The food lines.
The food lines as well.
That one I would think is
Or
pretty.
really, not the whole food lines, but renovating, each one of the schools is putting in an additional serving line with that $200,000 and as part of the renovation bid. So it's picking out the mobile furniture, making sure that mobile furniture will fit and be used in whatever the master plan is. Once we redesign the entire serving lines and replace them, we will see an additional fee to actually design the entire, this is like a mini kitchen design compared to, and serving line design.
And we don't wanna
compared to
spend
full
money
kitchen.
on something that's not going to work. That's why
Correct,
you-
or that we can't reuse. We don't wanna take this 200,000 in equipment and spend it and then find out it doesn't work with the future plan and direction of our serving lanes.
Any other questions? Okay, Ginny, would you take the roll?
Bessler. Coyle. Austriaco. Collins. Sullivan.
40% E
And Owen. Aye. I have a motion on item 9, Parkridge Library Agreement.
Second.
Sean?
So this agreement is extending to our non-residents that would be serviced by that would not be normally serviced by the Parkhurst Public Library but attend our schools. This gives them the opportunity to go to the Parkhurst Public Library, get a library card, access the materials, even when they're non-residents. And then also that we do assume a responsibility related to that if the students want to return the books. I don't really have any record of that being an issue in the past. And forgive the odd dates on this. They couldn't find an agreement that existed, nor could we, that kind of extended this original agreement from 16 through 18, so we decided let's just put it back on and get it done and make sure that our kids have access.
So we've had this agreement for years and years.
Yes, this is,
Do we have a similar one with Niles and Des Plaines?
Not with the Niles that I'm aware of.
We have one with Displays, so our Rosemont kids can get over Displays by the time. But they come to me and set it up. We don't have it agreement like this, we just do it.
Because Niles just changed their name to reflect Niles Main Township Library, so
It's
it
nice.
may be,
Of course, the Niles kids would have access to that library, correct?
yeah, they'll have it, yeah.
Yeah. See,
Wouldn't
the
go
problem,
access-
But
this
if that's
is,
Main Township, they might let them come anyway.
I was thinking of the unincorporated
Yeah.
township.
But if they're changing their name, they may not have it anyway.
Yeah.
and this was, so like, we have some Harwood Heights, Norwich kids, I think, that may not have access, so they could get into the Parkridge
Right,
Library.
and they're not Main Township.
And,
Well,
and the Rosemont kids also, as Audrey said.
Okay. Anything else? Ginny?
Sullivan. Coyle. Bessler. Collins. Austriaco. Owen.
Aye. I have a motion on item 10, PTAB resolution.
Second.
Every couple of years, we need to reauthorize Forensic to represent us in the Property Tax Appeals Board. This resolution simply gives them the authority to intervene on our behalf. And once again, the Property Tax Appeals Board hears assessed valuation reductions that are provided to them that are greater than 100,000. We receive notice, and then we have a right to intervention in those proceedings.
Questions? Okay, Ginny, would you take the roll?
Bessler. Collins.
Aye.
Austriaco. Sullivan. Coyle. Owen.
Aye. I have a motion on item 11, Lodge Review Data Sharing with Oakland Community College.
Second.
Okay. Sean?
Yeah, this agreement allows us to share back and forth math and English data with Oakland Community College. What that's enabled us to do is kind of identify where our students are doing well and where they need support, so that we can adjust on kind of both sides of the street, how to best serve our students and make sure they're successful when they arrive at Oakland. This enables us to go deeper than our national clearinghouse report that we get each year, which is this is about who comes and who goes and who stays and graduates. This enables us to work a little bit more closely with Oakland on getting our students literacy.
It's also allowed us to uncover some really problematic trends with remediation, so for full disclosure, it's a bigger picture than that. And it's part of what we continue to push on, and it's, if you remember the report card that we talked about back in the fall, when we are now being scorecarded on our it's called college remediation rate. It's actually our community college remediation rate. This helps us identify some trends there that we need to talk about and improve.
I have a quick question on this one. I know it started in 2016, right? And then we're renewing it for 2018, 2020.
Correct.
Is the thought eventually to have a, like a white paper report in terms of the metrics and the tracking and?
We have not, although that wouldn't be difficult to produce, to be very honest with you, because we kind of do that internally, to the point that Dr. Wallace has just laid out.
So we're looking at case studies, and what we have now is we've got just way better data. Like a lot of this for years has been anecdotal. And actually, we probably got more data from the Maine East kids who would come back to the East teachers and how you doing, and we find out that kids have been through these remedial courses year after year after year. What this allows us to do, two things. On our report card, it gives us a total rate. And what we've discovered is we have an inflated rate. But the second thing on this data sharing agreement is it allows us to see the kids, to know their story. We've got a face, we've got a name, we've got their history, and it really gives us better access to information and lets us look at, for example, demographic trends, low income trends.
I think what she's asking is more like a report back to us,
I see.
like to summarize that a little bit.
I know it's tons
Would you-
of data that's
yeah.
in there, but it would be nice to be able to kind of see
A summary.
Yeah.
right?
We can, I think what we can do, and Sean, let's add this as a discussion, but what we definitely can do is provide you a summary of our kids. What I'm not sure we can do is if we will have a full data set to say, that to really get at the disproportionality, and that's what we really want to get at. So I don't know if we can get enough full OACTIV data, for example, to do that, but we're definitely interested in that information.
We can definitely.
I have to think the OACTIV has the data and it's voidable, so I would certainly think you have access to it.
Okay, anything else? Would you take the roll, please?
Austriaco?
Aye.
Bessler? Collins? Coyle? Sullivan? Owen?
Hi. We have a motion on item 12. This is the board operation guidelines.
Second.
I'm just gonna mention, you've all seen these, they came out, we had a board governance training in October, and the moderator of that, with our input, came up with some guidelines for operating. Really, these are things that kind of are best practices that we've been doing, and this puts it into a more formal document that will become part of our board policies and procedures. So, thank you. I know people gave me feedback on this. I felt it was important to capture it on paper and make it something more formal, because it's not just for us, it's for future board members. It also could be a very nice document for new board members going forward, something to give them an idea, because when we talked about things, we realized there's a lot of work behind some of this, like how do we handle these things. It's not always logical right off the bat. So thank you for everyone's input on that. Any questions or anything? Okay. James, take the roll.
Sullivan? Coyle? Collins? Bessler? Austriaco? Owen?
Aye. Okay, calendar items. Yeah, this, right, this doesn't show the day before March 19th. Okay, March 19th. Okay, March 19th, 4 o'clock, there is an education meeting. We also have the meeting this week, which is the 8th, is that the 8th?
The 7th.
7th, okay. 5 o'clock, there's committee of the whole meeting. Anything else that you need to add?
5 o'clock, right?
5 o'clock. That's on this week, and then March 19th is 4 o'clock. Anyone who'd like to come to that?
Board members, Austriaco, okay. And Terry, that's okay with you, the Board of Education at 4?
That's on
Yeah,
March
that should be
19th.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
I just want to point out that we did move the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting date at the request of Chairperson Lee to the 22nd, as he was unable to attend on the 21st.
And I would like to point out that most likely the April 9th special board meeting for personnel probably will not need to have. We always put it there just as a placeholder, but we should have everything that we need to do related to our statutory requirements done at the April 2nd board meeting.
So, the March 21st, the NIPCO meeting, no,
For the finance?
that's done.
Yes.
Okay, are there any other communications or public comments? Can I have a motion to go into closed session for the purposes of review of closed session minutes and employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees? Austriaco, Dessler, Collins,